evening, everyone, and welcome to the AandEPodcast. I am Andy Stowe, and he is Eddie from Ackworth. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. We had promised you guys that we were going to have an Atlanta Braves post-game episode, but thanks to Rob Manfeld and the geniuses running MLB, they decided to send the Braves up north to a team that doesn't have a dome and is playing in 40 degrees and rainy weather. So instead of that, we are having a postponed edition of the AandEPodcast. So, Eddie, we can't talk about the Braves playing the Phillies today. So what if we maybe pivot and start out with some Georgia basketball, because they are still playing basketball, just like you told us that the NIT matters.
You're right. And we got a great guest tonight lined up. But before we bring him on, Andy, I know you've seen this. Everybody's seen it because it's disgusting. It's in my throat. You can probably hear me. Pollen is everywhere. Everything is yellow. Okay. And it just made me think today, thank you, God, that our beloved Georgia Bulldogs are black and red and not the color of urine like the team in Atlanta, which is what happens when we play them because it runs down their leg. They are yellow for a reason. Thank you, God, for not allowing us to have a pollen color in our uniform.
I agree 100%. Red and black is the much better color.
Primo, perfect.
Looks so much better. So, Eddie, you mentioned we have a great guest tonight to talk some Georgia basketball with us. Why don't you go ahead and introduce him, and I'll bring him in.
Yes, sir. So we are so happy to be joined by John Bateman of the UGA Athletic Department. There he is, showing up right now. He is the Assistant Athletic Director and the Marketing and the Sports Facilitator for the men's basketball team. Did I leave anything out there, John? And I apologize if I did. I think you're muted there, John Bateman.
Might be muted. Still muted?
Yeah, you're still muted there, John.
Well, while he's getting his mic going, yeah, James, the Braves request that they do. I know they do, but we were talking about maybe send them maybe to a southern area where they won't play in, someone up north. Yeah, but they do request that. But yeah, so talking about the Dogs, they are still playing in the NIT. They have won the last two games. This past weekend, they beat Wake Forest. And now they will go on to play Seton Hall on Tuesday night, and they play at 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
And this will be the third time in history that the Dogs have played Seton Hall. They have split that series. The Dogs won one home game, and Seton Hall won their home game. So, Eddie, I know you kind of jokingly, you told us that the NIT matters, and you do love the NIT. It's your favorite thing ever. So how excited are you right now? Because I got to say, I was with you about the NIT. It's not the tournament. And I'm going to bring John back in. Hey,
guys. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah. There you go. All right. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. So anyway, I hope I introduced you correctly, John, and didn't leave anything out. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I would just love off the start to hear your journey, because when I was in school and when Kelly, my wife, was in school, I think if I'm not mistaken, you were working for the famous Hugh Durham. That's kind of where you got your start. So tell us about your career journey and what you're doing now.
Well, first of all, Eddie, like you and several others, the pollen has me. So I apologize for my nasally sound here. But
it's fine. It's fine.
Hey, yeah. Was a manager here in school for Hugh Durham. We had some great times and years there with the men's basketball team when I was in school. Went to 3 NCAAs, one NIT, won the SEC. Part of the first team in Georgia history to go to back-to-back NCAA tournaments in 90 and 91.
Yep.
Coach Durham will always have a special place in my heart because he gave me a start and gave me a chance to get involved, and then went to grad school here and worked in facilities and event management. And my bosses in grad school were Lewis Gainey, who was in facilities and event management, also a guy named Greg McGarity, who was facilities and event management. And then I went off to the SEC office for a couple of years, worked in officiating and in championships for the conference office. It was really a great time to be over there. We had Commissioner Rory Kramer, one of the smartest men, and just great, like it's them all around people you'd ever want to be with, and it was a special time because my 2 years there were the first two ever SEC championship football games.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And both of those were Alabama, Florida. Alabama won 1 year. Florida won the second year. And then I came back here in 94. Been here ever since. Worked in several roles, and this is my like 30th year here now.
Well, that's great. That's awesome stuff. Well, I have to tell you this, John. We've heard a lot, and I correct me if I'm wrong. I think the change happened this year. Maybe it was the year prior, but I think it was this year. But every time I hear about the change they made in Stegman Coliseum, where they moved the student section, which were behind the goals, they moved the student section to a different area, which is, by the way, a brilliant move. My wife and I have been to 2 games this year, and that place was electric. And it was partly because of where the students had moved. Every time I hear about that move, the name John Bateman comes up. And it sounds like you were an integral part in that or had some role in that. So talk about that. And were there some pain points involved in that? Because those are primo seats for probably high-end donors. And whether there's some pressure there to get that done.
Well, the SEC's got a rule that your students cannot be on the same end or the same side, so essentially the same quarter of the court as the visiting team bench.
Okay.
So what we had to do, and Josh Brooks deserves all the credit in the world for this. It took somebody biting the bullet and just ripping the Band-Aid off, and we flipped the benches.
Mm-hmm.
And then that caused us to have to change a section closest to the visiting team to a reserve seat section, and then we expanded the student section basically 3/4 of the way down the side of the court, opposite the team benches. Student attendance during the SEC game, I believe, was 132% above capacity.
That's huge.
And what we did to get it to that figure is, I think it was Arkansas, Alabama, and LSU were 3 weeknight games. And so we had some unsold reserve seats. Whenever we had some unsold reserve seats, we would always just give them to the students. And so I think it was the Alabama game. We got 3,300 students in there for a 2,000 seat section. So it was. We've had a good year. Made a lot of strides. Strides like on and off the court.
So this was the first year that the students were in that section, or this the second year? I'm sorry, I don't know that.
It's the first year.
It's the first year. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, kudos to you and everybody that was involved, because not only the students being there, but the light shows y'all are doing, it's electric in there. And all it takes, John, I keep saying, is for the basketball team, I know they're starting to start winning, and everything will fall into place. So you guys have laid the groundwork for that. Go ahead, Andy. I know you got some questions about the NIT.
Well, no, that's you're leading into that winning. So that is, I mean, Georgia has not been winning a lot in basketball, but now they are in the NIT. And I know some people will look at it as the second tier tournament, as in the guy that's up in the corner over here waving at you. But I think that is a step in the right direction. So for you as a fan and for you as someone that is in the Athletic Association, how big of a deal is this?
It's pretty big for us. Our goal, and you'll hear it from Coach White and Josh Brooks and everybody. Our goal is to always be in the NCAA tournament.
Sure,
but given where we have been, and like where we are now, this was something that we felt was important to the program to accept a bid if we were extended one. And I think I told David Johnston and Logan Booker this the other day on radio. I was up there at Ohio State, and I think if you had any doubts about how much this tournament means to somebody, all you had to do was look at how hard both of those teams were playing the other night. Georgia and Ohio State, and the coaches they were coaching, and the fans were into it. That was one of the best environments we've been in on the road this year.
Wow.
And I mean, it rivaled any of the really good ones that we experienced in the SEC. So credit to the Ohio State fans for like creating a like great environment.
Yeah. Well, I'll raise my hand. I mean, Andy mentioned it. I was one of the ones that poo-pooed the NIT when we got in against Xavier. I was like, I just don't care, guys. This doesn't. And Andy will back me on this. I said it, and I'm sorry, John. That's the way I felt. But after each win, I got a little more excited. And what I love, John, is you put up a video of them winning to get to the Final Four, and those kids are legitimately excited about where they are. Mike White's involved there. They're happy to be there, and they're playing their butts off because they've got starters down. Abdur Rahim's been out, Chiwa's been out, and there are other guys that are stepping up now and getting things done. And I think, John, we've watched this team mature right in front of our eyes in this tournament. That's what I love about it.
Well, I think you're right, Eddie. I mean, you got. I mean, let's just start with our three freshmen, Silas and Blue and Dylan. Those three young men who are tremendous individuals.
Yeah.
Off the floor, and great families behind them and supporting them. They, Coach White, he kind of turned the reins over and started going, say, with the freshmen more and more about the last 5 games of the regular season. Yep. So now you're about 10 or so games into going with these freshmen, and you can see them really improving now. Like Silas was the only freshman to have started every game. The only game he didn't start was senior day because we went with seniors, as a lot of schools do. But he was the only freshman to start every game up until the last game of the season for us at home. And then, I mean, Frank Anselm, you're like talking about the next man up. I mean, she whiz, he stepped up the other night. 10 points, 10 rebounds. I think he was plus 16 in the plus minus. And he really stepped up. I'm seeing that. I love that.
Yeah, sorry, I'm laughing. Ohio State missing threes to lose a game, a tradition like any other. I'm just reading for those who are listening by the Dogfather. Classic. Sorry, John. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, don't think that
didn't cross your mind.
Well,
and John, he's playing that ball off the left rim, if memory serves. So that's wide left to me, just like the football game, right?
Well, it showed up in a lot of text. Text to me after the game. I can assure you that. Yeah. But no, you're right, Eddie. I mean, this like team has grown, and it's next man up has been the mantra throughout the whole season, really, for us.
Well, we know here in Athens that basketball's king. I mean, I'm sorry, football's king. It's always going to be king.
I was like, wait, what are you talking about, Andy?
Well, basketball's king. No, football's king. And obviously we've won 2 national championships in the past 3 years. What does the basketball program need to maybe get to that next step to be a legit contender for the tournament and maybe to make a run in the tournament?
I mean, it's a lot of people speak about the facilities. We're in pretty good shape on facilities. We like really are when you think about it. And if building a facility was the answer, everybody would be building one all the time.
Exactly.
What Josh Brooks, again, deserves a lot of credit. We just built a brand new weight room this past summer for just the men's and the women's basketball team. It's a 4,000 square foot weight room. It's probably the largest weight room, or one of the top three in the SEC.
Really?
Renovated the sports medicine room for like basketball. We just renovated the offices and the like locker room for them. We've got plans to basically take down the scoreboard, the center hung, and make the giant wall on the old stage in, for those of us who remember the stage.
Oh yeah.
That is that's going to be turned into a giant like LED board, and then we've got some other plans that I know that Josh is looking into to continue doing some enhancement to the steg. It facilities are just one thing, but right now probably the top two factors are NIL and playing time. For kids, and I feel really good about the commitment that we have made and are continuing to make to like NIL through the Classic City Collective.
Yeah.
For men's basketball and really all our sports, we have made significant progress in that like area since it became a factor.
That's
and
great.
came a part of everything that we're doing.
Well,
Yeah.
John, I always say the easy answer to all of this is for the basketball team to win, and everything else will fall into place. And I think this run that they're making in the NIT, granted, like I said, I'm guilty of it. I think a lot of people are guilty of it, kind of poo-pooed it. But I think now people are buying in and are watching this team and are excited about what next year may bring. So talk a little bit about Mike White and what he's brought to the program, because I see since they won 10 in a row and the place was going crazy. And John, this came out of our lips on our podcast. We were talking about the NCAAs at that point, right? Because I think we were 12-1, 12-2. It looked great. And then we got into SEC play and it got a little tougher. We had some very close losses. So I think we're right on the cusp of it. But talk about Mike White and what he's brought to the program and what he could bring us maybe next year and the year after.
Excuse me on that cough there, but
Right.
Mike is incredible. He's a great person, great family. His wife Kira was a great volleyball player at Ole Miss, and that's where Mike and his future wife met at Ole Miss. And they got five kids that are keeping them extremely busy, with everything. But Mike is a really good just dude. He likes to be, he goes, I just want to be a normal dude, and I want to coach. I want to recruit, and I want to coach my team. And one of the things I've had three coaches since I've been here that basically said, hey, y'all do what you need to do as far as the event, like some operations, the fan engagement, marketing, promotions, the ticket sales, and I'll try to do my part and take care of coaching the team and winning, and then it all ties together. And those have been Ron Polk and Jim Herrick and Mike White. Those three have they have put the trust in, say, the staff to do videos and to figure out music and figure out ticket sales plans and things like that. And then that they just focus on coaching and recruiting and building a program.
That's great.
Yeah, that's big. And I think that, obviously if they're doing their part, that means you guys are doing your part and it all just plays together. And if you guys are doing your part, then that lets them go out and focus on the one thing. Cause I remember when Jim Herrick was here, we were really good at basketball when he was here. And I hope Mike White can get us back to that, because that was some fun basketball.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love watching those guys play. Jarvis Hayes, God, he was amazing watching him, and Ezra Williams and all those guys.
Yeah, it was funny the other night when like Xavier came to town, and I like met their like team and coaches as they entered, and showed them like where to go, for the locker rooms and things like that. One of the assistant coaches for Xavier comes up to me and goes, "What do you think of Jonas Hayes?" And I said, "Jonas is awesome."
Yeah.
I said he's a great like guy, but I said Jarvis is the one who we have on the wall here. So
Yeah.
it was funny, and we like laughed on that because Jonas used to coach at Xavier.
Yeah, that's right.
All that they're like too. So
Yeah.
so we had some fun with that. But yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, Jarvis had one of the coolest dunks I've ever seen in person. He basically got the ball down the baseline, and he took it and he looked at the defender who was trying to come at him, and then he just basically stared him down and then jumped up and one-handed. It was incredible. I was on that end. That's like my all-time favorite Georgia basketball moment, was watching Jarvis Hayes do that dunk.
Yeah. Well, John, just tell us briefly your schedule next week, and what do you think our chances are next? What is it? Tuesday? Is it Tuesday at 9:30?
At 9:30.
And by the way, John, if you have any pull at all, can you please talk to somebody, because Eddie needs to get to bed before midnight. Can you get this game moved back a little bit? I'm really tired. So just tell us about your schedule, what you're doing, and what are our chances next week?
Well, we basically. The NIT is it's not set like the NCAA is, as far as you're going to play Thursday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday, and you got these predetermined sites and things like that. So like for instance, this past Saturday we like traveled up to Wake Forest. We played Sunday night. We had a plan to spend the night, should we have won, and go to either Virginia Tech or Ohio State the next morning,
right?
Or like come on back home after the game. And so we called the hotel after the game. We'd already made all these like plans and about staying Sunday night and things like that. The hotel told us that hey, we've lost power and we don't anticipate having power back for another 7 hours. So
gosh.
So we had to scramble right then, and Ben Gonzalez, he's our operations director for men's basketball. He does a tremendous job, and he's got a great mindset and composure. He's so calm and level-headed about everything. So we found 38 hotel rooms on Sunday night at another hotel in Winston-Salem. And then we flew to Ohio State Monday morning, played Tuesday night, came back home after that, and then we immediately got on it Wednesday morning, trying to figure out everything for Indy, and I think we will have the plane nailed down either late tonight or tomorrow to get the team up there. We are still and the cheerleaders, and then the band will be flying up on on Tuesday, I think, in time for the game. But and then getting hotel rooms and all that up there in Indy, and like nailing down practice schedules and doing all that. But we leave Sunday afternoon for Indy. Practice up there late morning Monday. Then we'll have, I'm sure the coaches will do kind of the normal routine of some meals at the hotel. and scouting and things like that, and film breakdown. Then Tuesday you will have a game day shoot around, and then we'll play Tuesday night. And then
At
we've got
7:30, right? You're going to move that to 7:30, right, John?
well,
Come on.
we're gonna let Utah and Indiana State have the 7 o'clock slot there. And then hey, we've got plans. We told everybody to pack for 5 days. So hey, here we go.
I like it. Well, hey, Indy's a special place for Georgia. That's where we go to win championships, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think you asked about how do I think we would fare. Seton Hall is really good. They're very, very long, very athletic.
You think they're better than Ohio State, John?
I'd like to see them in person, but obviously they have dominated everybody that they have played in the NIT, and they were 13-7 in the Big East. Yeah. They've got a really solid club. It's going to be a significant challenge for us to play them. They have built some things. They've got a really good guard who was at Clemson a couple of years ago. The Dolls kid, really good shooter. But then on the other side of the bracket, you got Utah and Indiana State. I don't know how much you followed it, but Indiana State has the one kid that they all have like nicknamed Cream
Abdul-Jabbar. That's right. Cream. Cream. That's right. Yeah. Yep.
And then Utah they've got two just giant guys. One of them I watched. I think he's a 7-footer, and he made 5 or 6 3-pointers against VCU the other night in their quarterfinal game. They got a lot of size, and then they've got a guard who actually started out. I mean, this is the world we're in, right? He started out at Mississippi State, then he went to Georgia Tech, then he went to Utah. He's really good player. Utah's a really solid club too. It should be a fun time to get together. And this will be I've only been in Hinkle Fieldhouse one other time.
Oh wow!
And that was in 1990 when we were in the NCAA tournament and we played Texas. Back when Tom Penders coached at Texas.
Bateman, we were 20.
Oh yeah, I know.
Andy wasn't even born.
No, we were assigned Hinkle as an off-site practice venue.
Okay.
And that was in 1990, so it was right after Hoosiers was released, really. And a bunch of 18, 22-year-olds, we like walk in there, and the first thing we do is we yell Hickory,
Yeah, of course.
And there's been a lot of thoughts and dumb ideas about like who should be on whose shoulders and drop the tape measure and do all that when we go up there.
You got to do that. Yeah, there's no doubt. Hey, one more thing before we let you go, John.
Sure.
What are the chances of Chiwa, Sunahara, and Abdur Rahim playing coming up against Seton Hall? You think we'll see those guys?
I don't know. I mean, Russ was feeling a whole lot better the other night. And the others I don't know about. Okay. They had Wednesday off because we got back late on Tuesday, and then today did some lifting and some light shooting and things, and so we'll see what happens. So
that's great. Well, John, we can't thank you enough. This has been fantastic to get a little insight into the basketball team, and like I said, our hope is that we pull this thing out. We get to hang a banner in Stegman Coliseum, and then we'll bring you back on in a couple of weeks, and we'll talk about the championship Bulldogs basketball team. Wouldn't that be fun?
Hey, it would be like great. And hey, if you ever want to talk talk the Braves. I'll leave the Hawks to you, Eddie. But I'll if you ever want to talk the Braves and how many times we're going to bring back Duvall and Chavez.
Yeah, that's right.
Chavez, I'll be glad to hop on another night, man.
That sounds
That'd be
good.
great.
That's awesome.
John, thank you so much.
See y'all. Thank y'all.
See ya.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Yeah. Well, that was awesome. Yeah, that's good to kind of have that peek behind the curtain of what's going on.
Wasn't that great? That was fun. That was fun. Yeah.
That's right. And like I said, I see that guy all the time, and I did not know. I knew he worked at the Athletic Association, but I didn't know who he was. But I see him, I mean, almost daily at the Kangaroo. So it's pretty funny.
At the Kangaroo. That's
well, it's Circle K now. It used to be.
okay. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, we're up there every day, and he's always coming over.
So funny. Yeah.
Well, like we were talking about earlier, the Braves are supposed to play today, and they were supposed to play.
Yeah.
They will open up tomorrow versus the Phillies. They got a 3-game set with the Phillies, and then they will move on to the Chicago White Sox. We have not, or we did see that the Braves today released their opening day roster. There wasn't really any surprises there, and if for the people that hasn't seen it, I'll show the opening day roster here. So right here, the pitchers. They're there. There was no surprising outside, really, of Jesse Chavez. Like John mentioned, he is back.
Before you move on, did that one catch you by surprise? And I'm not knocking Jesse Chavez. We all love Chavez. He's a great story. When he puts on a Braves uniform, it's like he's a different pitcher. When he goes elsewhere, he's garbage. It's the weirdest thing in the world. But isn't he close to 40, Andy? And I don't understand.
I think he's 39, I think.
Okay, whatever. He's almost 40.
Yeah.
And Jackson Stevens is right there. I kind of thought this was
he is 40. He did turn 40 just recently.
Okay, that's what I thought. So, I mean, I get the story and then the nostalgia and all that. But in my mind, Jackson Stevens seemed like the better fit there. I'm not Brian Snitker by any means, but go ahead, Andy. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Kevin kind of says what I was thinking. It says more about Jackson Stevens than it does against Jesse Chavez. I don't think that they think a whole lot of Jackson Stevens. I think he, just kind of is what he is. I just don't think he's that good. Yes, I do think they think a ton of Jesse Chavez because he can be that long reliever. He can spot start, and I mean, he is a guy that can. He's got a role, and I thought Bryce Elder might be that guy, but they did move him down to AAA, and so I think maybe they want to keep Bryce Elder as a starter in AAA, and they want to have Jesse Chavez be that swing guy.
Yeah.
So the infielders and the catchers, we have no surprise there.
And it's nice to see, how do you say it? Guillorme, is that how you say it?
Guillorme, I think.
I mean, and when he was a Met, it seemed like every time he came up against us, he got a damn hit. So it's nice to see him on our side, right?
It is, yeah. And then, of course, you got Travis d'Arnaud and Sean Murphy. And then DH is Marcell Ozuna. And the outfielders, obviously, Adam Duvall has got to come back. He will probably be playing with the Braves until 2030.
No, he'll be cut at the end of the year, and then he'll come back. So you got to do that.
Yeah, that's exactly what they'll do. But yeah, they that's how they do. They bring those, so there was no surprise there. And I'm gonna bring in Mr. James Caraway. He's wanting to talk some Braves with us.
What's up, JC?
What's up, guys?
How you doing?
How are you? Yeah, it's looking nice out there. What's the weather like out there in sunny California?
It's probably about 70 right now.
That's
Low
what we
70s. Can't complain.
By the way, I thought about you this week because it seems like your dreams are going to be crushed because it sounds like that UCLA game is going to be put on the kibosh, right?
Yeah. I know.
Yeah,
I thought about you. And if you went to that game, James, I think you would be one of maybe 10,000 Georgia fans there because have you seen that stadium when UCLA plays at home? It's like a high school stadium with 10 people in it. It's pathetic.
Well, it's funnier. We did it back when we played at Arizona State with no Sean.
Yeah.
It was cheaper for us to just buy season tickets for Arizona State and then sell the rest So we were going to do the same for UCLA, and my mom's
That's
UCLA
insane.
grad. So we were going to get, dirt cheap tickets and then just, give away the rest to anyone who wanted to go.
That's insane. And I mean, we can't even donate enough to be on the list here in Georgia. That's hilarious.
It tells you how they feel about college.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
now. I did see that, and Kevin answered. Garrett asked about Aaron Bummer. Garrett, he's, like Kevin said, a big lefty that throws hard. He's here to get left-handed batters out, specifically Bryce Harper. He's here to get those guys out. Last year his numbers weren't great. I think he had a 6 ERA, but he does throw hard. So I will say this: the guy that got traded for him, Mike Soroka. I don't know. I'm hoping that one doesn't come back to bite. Actually, that's a lie. I hope it does come back to bite us because I love Mike Soroka. He's one of my favorite all-time players. I love the dude. But yeah, it's he's a big lefty, so that they got him for that role. But so we do know that the Braves are starting this year with Ronaldo Lopez as the 5th starter. I'm not so sure, how that'll work out. But my question for you guys is this: the top 4 starters, which is going to be Spencer Strider, Max Fried, Chris Sale, and Charlie Morton. How many wins combined will they have at the end of the year?
Oh, jeez. Go ahead, James, because you put me on the spot. I got to do math on the air. That's not good.
Yeah. Let's see. Spencer 20,
Ooh.
Max 17, Charlie 15, and then Sale 15. I'm just
30. Come on, go 30. Do it.
So what's that? So I would say approximately 40, 30. I'd say 65 to 70 wins on the plus side. I'd say 65 between the 4.
All right, Andy, I'm going to put you on the spot. You got to pull this up. Tell me what their wins were last year because I don't have that in front of me. Do you have that?
Well, Spencer Strider won 20. Chris Sale, what did he get? Hang on.
Well, he was injured, right? I mean, wasn't he injured a good part of the year?
Let's see. Well, while I'm looking this up, I will tell you. I think and I'll go ahead and kind of give y'all know I think Max Fried's going to win the Cy Young. I think Max Fried wins 21 games. But now I think Spencer Strider wins 20. So I think you're getting 41 wins between the two.
Yeah.
I think you're going to get 14. 14 each between Sale and Charlie Morton. So I think they go 69 wins between the 4 of those guys.
I'm with you on the first two, 2020, roughly in that area. I think Sale's wild card. I think Morton, I'm going to go low with Morton. I'm going to say 12 wins with him. I don't have a lot of confidence in Morton coming up on his age. I just don't. I think he's going to burn out. But Sale is the wild card. Are we including Lopez too, or just doing Sale?
No, just the top 4 because I do think that 5th starter is going to be.
See, I think Sale's going to be up at 20 as well. I just think he feels great. He's happy to be here. He's as healthy as he's ever felt, and if he's on, he's a Cy Young pitcher.
If Chris Sale has 20 wins, the Atlanta Braves will not only win the World Series, the Atlanta Braves will sweep the World Series. But now I think I don't know. I know you said you don't really watch preseason, spring training a lot.
Not a second.
Chris Sale, you should be watching that dude. God, man.
I watch highlights. I mean,
yeah, but a lot of people don't really, they're not as familiar with Chris Sale. When he was in Boston, when he was healthy, he was as good as anybody in baseball. And I think he's healthy again. I mean, James, have you been watching him in spring training and see how he looks? I mean, he's throwing high 90s. He's hitting 97, and
he looks great. Only person looks better is, I was looking at the Ks for spring training, Spencer, and like the next closest guy was like 15 Ks lower.
Yes.
How much did you say? 50?
15.
Oh, 15. I'm sorry.
It's still crazy. It's
still
a crazy.
Yeah.
Chris Sale, I think he's the highest strikeout per 9 of all time.
Yes, all time.
Yes.
Yeah.
All time. And I think people are going to just, they kind of forget because he was so good and then a couple injury-laden years. The only thing with the wins is I think Snit is probably going to spread out some starts as we get later in the year. I do think the Phillies are going to dance with us a little bit. So, and I think that's better for us. I think wrapping up so early has been a detriment. So I like the thought of these guys all getting 30 plus starts, and Morton can give up 5 runs. Our offense is so good, he may still get a win in that game.
Charlie Morton had a 3.80 ERA last year. That's great. If you have a 3.80 ERA in your 4th starter, and I don't know, he's a year older, but if you have a 3.80 ERA in the 4th starter, that is, in today's baseball, that's ridiculous. That's next level ridiculous. But we do have to, I do think that the 5th starter is going to be a revolving door kind of. I don't know how. I know Ronaldo Lopez, his career starting has not been great. So I think there's going to be a lot of starts in the 5th guy. But again, I don't know that it's going to matter. I think as long as you have 4 at the end of the year starting, if those 4 are healthy, it's going to be tough for the Braves to lose. I mean, they're just going to be that better. And Garrett wants to know, is Spencer Strider and Max Fried the best 1-2 punch in baseball? Can y'all think of one better? I mean,
Wheeler and Nola. I mean, I think they're equivalent. Wheeler and Nola, you can't bet against those guys. They're phenomenal. I'm not knocking our guys, but those guys are phenomenal. I think they're on an even playing field.
It's gonna be close. Yeah, it's tough. There's only a couple of guys. I think a couple of teams that can honestly say that, and I think it's hard to say because Tyler Glasnow was really good, but then he gets hurt a lot. So
yeah. There's a reason his name is Glass.
Yeah, he made of glass. Well, so I want to ask you guys my next question for the Braves. What single player awards do they win this year? Like, does someone win the MVP? Does someone win a Cy Young? Does someone win a Gold Glove? James?
I think it's going to be the first time since 2013, which was the Tigers with Miggy and was it Verlander, that you have a players on the same team that win the Cy Young and the MVP.
Oh, okay. Who do you got? Who's going to do that?
I have Spencer Strider winning. I like Max too. I just think Spencer's talent is just better than everybody. I think he's only getting better.
Is it better than everybody in baseball?
Yeah.
See,
wait, let me ask you this, James. Is it because of the curveball? Is that what put him over the top?
I think even before then.
Really? So if he didn't have that in his arsenal, you'd still think he'd do that?
I do. And
wow.
Wheeler's the only guy I think compares. Maybe you could say Ohtani, but yeah, I have it as Spencer. And then, I don't know, after I like Austin Riley as my dark horse, but I think we've hit 92 to 94 Barry Bonds with Ronald Acuna. I think he has a 50-50 year.
Okay. Eddie?
Yeah, I mean, he took my first one. I think Ronald MVP, he repeats. I think so. Okay. So did we lose James?
He's taking it
off. I'm gonna charge this computer real quick.
Oh, that's all right. No problem. Yeah, I think Acuna repeats. I really do. I just feel that. And I'm going to say right now, I don't think one of our pitchers wins the Cy Young. I don't think it's going to happen.
You don't think it's going
to happen? I don't know why. I don't know, Andy. I can't. Something in my brain is just like, I don't want to say something's going to happen. The 5th starter comes into play more. I don't know. And the way Snitker manages his guys, I think the way, let me put it this way. I think the way this team thinks now is you just get through the regular season and make a run in the playoffs. They did that for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And it didn't work. All right. And I'm not saying go out there and intentionally lose games. That's not what I'm saying, and be the wild card. But I think Snitker is going to manage this team slightly different than he has the past 2 years. And I think that may reduce some of that pitching a little bit. We're loaded in the bullpen, right? I mean, he can pull out. We're up 4-1. Max Fried's pitching a gem. He's in the 5th inning. He's probably going to pull him, right, and let the bullpen come in. So I think that weighs into it a little bit. And I think that's why we don't have a Cy Young winner this year.
I think that's definitely a possibility. I think the focus is to win the World Series, and I think in the players. But like I've said, I think Max Fried is going to win the Cy Young. Y'all remember the Game 6 versus the Houston Astros?
Oh yeah,
he got stepped on, and it was.
Well, over. He made it get stepped on every game to have that happen, though, right? It pissed him off.
It did. And I'm not saying he doesn't try as hard because it hasn't been a contract year. It is a contract year. That makes a little difference for these guys. I think Max Fried goes out and is game 6 Max Fried the whole year. I think he's that good. And I know I asked Bill, last week, I was like, should we be concerned with some of his spring stats? And I wasn't concerned. I wanted to just see what Bill's take was. I don't think there's any concern about him. He is healthy. He's throwing high 90s. He's got that big hook. I think Max Fried goes out, dominates, 21 wins. I think he has a 250 ERA, maybe even 255, 245. I think it's going to be low. I think he's going to throw 185 innings. I think he's going to strike out 200 batters. And I think he is going to say, I'm the Cy Young. I'm the best pitcher. Now, he may walk away next year with a huge contract, but I think he will win the Cy Young. I do not think we have an MVP, though. I think Austin Riley is in the top 3. I think they're going to try to pitch around Ronald Acuna. And so I think Ozzie Albies can have a really good year, have a lot of numbers.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think they're going to try to pitch around Matt Olson because he hit 54 home runs and 139. Is that right? 139 RBIs, 137, something. And I think Austin Riley will reap those benefits. And I think he goes 40 home runs and has 110, 115 RBIs, but I don't know if he wins the MVP. But I do think he wins, like Kevin mentioned. I think he wins the Gold Glove. I think Ronald Acuna wins the Gold Glove. And I think Matt Olson, him and Freddie, it's going to be neck and neck with the Gold Glove there.
So you think – sorry, James. So you think the added pressure of a contract year helps Max Fried?
I do. You do. And it's not that I think he doesn't try as hard because it's not a contract year.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
We see it every year, contract year guys it's like they can take that next level. And I think he will take that next level. And he's already an ace. I mean, that's the thing. He's a legit – his career ERA is 3.04.
Yeah.
He's a legit bona fide number 1 starter. And I think he takes the next step. And I think he does it the whole year. If he stays healthy, he'll be the best pitcher in baseball this year. And I think him and you know what? Maybe even not starting game 1, he says, you know what? I should be that guy. I don't think it's I'm mad, but a friendly competition. And he's like, I'm going to prove when we go to the World Series, I need to be the game 1 starter. But so
does Raciel Iglesias make y'all nervous?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
James?
Maybe in the playoffs. I like just having a legit guy you can give the ball in the 9th inning. He's not, your top 5.
He's not that guy. He's not that guy.
He's not a top 5 closer, but he's good enough. I mean, we won a World Series with Will Smith.
Yeah.
So I like a guy that I know I can give him the ball in the 9th inning. He's comfortable doing that. It doesn't feel weird. So I'm fine with that. And
I should know this. Who is the setup guy before Iglesias? Who is that guy? Do you know, Andy? Or is there a guy?
It'll be Mentor.
It'll be Mentor.
But it could be.
We're up 2-1 in the 8th. Mentor, then Iglesias. Is that how it's going to work?
Yes. It's going to depend on if it's it's going to be a lineup thing. If it's a bunch of right-handed hitters,
I know it's probably a righty-lefty thing.
But Mentor is the setup man.
So my question with that is, if Iglesias has problem, Mentor becomes the closer? No? Okay, good, because I don't want Mentor in that role. So I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Iglesias has problems. God forbid he gets hurt. Who's the closer?
Someone on another team.
Really?
That could be true.
Snit will ride with his guy. I mean, we saw with Marcel.
Oh, yeah,
if
he will.
Really is a problem, AA will make a trade. But I think he's going to be good enough to get you, 30 to 35 saves.
I do too.
But he's going to drive you crazy. He's going to
that may be who it is. It could be Ronaldo Lopez.
Yeah.
So that is a possibility because you got Bryce Elder down there. You have who knows where, you got Darius Vines. You got, like I said, Snit was raving about how good Dobbs is doing. You got options. So Ronaldo Lopez could potentially move back to that role. We don't know, but that is a very good point, Kevin. Yeah. I don't know.
One thing that you said, Andy, with Fried reaching another level, I think he's reached his level. He just needs to stay healthy. When he pitches, he does not give up runs.
No.
And I think we're more likely to have a Cy Young than MVP because, these writers want to give everything to the Dodgers. They're slobbering all over them. But, the geeks who pick these awards, and I'm one of the baseball geeks, Strider's geek numbers may be so good if he gets the ERA even to a 3.3. I think he he's going to be in line to get it because his strikeout ratio is going to be insane.
Yeah, and he's going to strike out. I mean, 12 a game or 12 per 9. So he's going to have crazy good numbers. But then if you're going to, let's just say Chris Sale stays healthy. Look at what that guy can do. He may be in the running for that. I think the Braves have 3 legit possibilities. Like you may have 3 guys in the top 10 in the Cy Young voting. So.
Well, here's what I like about Chris Sale. Bryce Harper does what he does last year and stares down Arcia. If Chris Sale's in the game, that's going right at his head. Now, I'm not saying we need to injure anybody, okay? Well, you get what I'm saying. We didn't do that. It was just kind of like, Chris Sale's that guy. He's a freaking bulldog, and that's what I love. We need that.
We have a lot of gentlemen, and now
damn right we do.
Who has some fuck you in them.
Yeah. Yep. You said it. Absolutely.
And we have that now. So
and Matzik is that guy in the bullpen too. I'm so glad he's back.
And he's getting better. He's getting healthier, and he made the roster, which Bill Shanks was a little surprised, but he's not throwing 97 yet. He's more of a 93, 94, which that's
going to improve as time goes on, though.
Maybe Tyler Matzik pitches in the 6th inning. What if you have Tyler Matzik pitching in the 6th inning? I mean, come on. That dude was talking about setup man. That was a setup man. And now maybe he comes back. Who knows? Maybe he is that setup guy when you get to the postseason.
God, let's play baseball. Jeez.
We were playing here in the South, a bunch of idiots. Okay. Before we get out of here, James and then Eddie, what is your when the final out of the MLB season is recorded, when the season is over and they're crowning a World Series champion, who wins it and who did they beat to win it?
The Braves beat the Astros after the Astros played a 7-game series with the Orioles. Braves beat them in 6 games. And your World Series MVP is Austin Riley.
Oh, I like it. I love that. That's awesome.
Eddie from Mackworth, what you got?
I'm going to back off a bit and tell you my prediction because it kind of weighs in at the end of the year.
Okay.
You're probably both going to yell at me. I don't give a crap. The Braves win 94 games this year. The Phillies win the division. Okay. Now, I want y'all to go back and look. Wait a minute. Hold on. I've got a reasoning behind this. I looked at it. The Braves were 10-3 against the Mets last year. Edwin Diaz is back. The Mets are going to be better this year. We're not going to run through them like poo through goose. Poo, how do you say? A goose poo, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We're not going to run through them like crazy. We were 8-5 against the Phillies, right?
Yeah.
I don't see that happening again. We're going to lose some games there. I think it's going to kind of even out. I think Philly wins 95. They get in as a division leader. It pisses us off. We go in as a wild card team. We play Philly in the NLCS. We beat them, go to the World Series, play the Rangers, and we beat them in 6.
Well, I'm going to say the Mets were officially eliminated from the playoffs today. And they do wear, what color are their what color does
blue and orange?
Blue and orange. What does Florida wear? Blue and orange. God,
blue and orange. Disgusting. And Tech wears yellow like pollen. And
that's right. I think the Atlanta Braves won 106 games in the regular season.
Oh gosh.
I think they win the division for the 7th straight year. And I think they will end up playing the Phillies in the postseason, and they're going to get.
So does the layoff cost them again? Are we going to have to go through this 5-day layoff?
All of this stupid excuses we made last year, and I'm one of them. I made all those. I was like, we needed this, blah, blah, blah. Screw that. None of that junk's going to matter this year. This team is going to be different. This team is going to win a lot of baseball games, and when that final out's recorded in the World Series after the 5th game, because the Braves are going to win it in 5 versus the Houston Astros. And the guy that gets the final starting pitcher will be Max Fried, and he's going to win the MVP of the World Series because he wins 2 games in the World Series.
Who do we beat in the NLCS to get there?
I think we're going to beat the Phillies.
The Phillies.
Okay. I think so.
I think we have to play Philly in the first. Phillies are going to have the 3rd best record in the National League, and they're still going to be the top wild card, and we're going to be playing them.
Yeah.
So in your scenario, James, we're going to play them in the first round, right? Again, in a 5-game series.
and then we're playing the Dodgers. And I hope that's it because I want to go through the gauntlet. This team is better than all these other teams. I want
100%. 100%.
I want them to shut everybody up. I desperately want that rematch with Philly. And I want them to beat them in the bank. Screw that place and their fans.
They're awful. They're awful people, all of them.
I could see
the problem with that, James. The problem with that, this is what drives me crazy. If it was all 7-game series, I'd be like, fine, because eventually your team overcomes a 7-game series, right? If you're the better team, 5-game series, much like these stupid, they did the lesser 3-game series years prior. That's a total crapshoot. Yeah. I just hate the 5-game series, right? Because that's what happened to us last year. If that was a 7-game series last year, I bet you we win that series against Phillies.
But this team is built for the 5-game series. I think this team is.
You think so?
I think so because of those 4 pitchers. Those 4 pitchers make you build.
If we're healthy, that's the difference.
You can say that for every team, though, because
no, I know, but I mean, 2 years in a row, that's bitten us in the ass, right? It's been horrible luck.
And Eddie, we were, maybe a Jock Peterson home run that didn't happen away from losing to the Brewers. That year that we won.
No, you're right. You're right. And there again, last year we were this close to a Ronald Acuna blast winning that series, because if he hits that home run there against the Phillies, we probably win that series. And it was that close, right?
Up against the wall.
Yeah.
Got to stay healthy, but the guy's got to hit. That was such a disappointment in the hitting, and I think they will. I don't think Michael Harris is going to stay 1 for 21 in his postseason career.
He's not.
I think he'd take a big step this year.
It's nut up time. Nut up and be the players that you are, and it's plain and simple. You got to do it.
I want to go cry at another parade. I don't care, man. You can take my balls, whatever. I want to go cry at another parade. It's the greatest feeling.
And Kevin Gators KB12, he knows I did. I sent him a message. I was here at my house watching it, and Kevin was at his house. I was like, dude, I'm not even ashamed to admit it.
Were you there, James? Did you go to the parade?
No, I couldn't go. But I was on speakerphone with my dad on the last out, and I was able to watch the first national championship with him. I went back to Vegas.
Oh, man. Wow.
But every championship series, we're big Vegas Golden Knight hockey fans. I was with them Game 6 when they won the Cup.
Yeah.
But every championship series, we're either on the phone, FaceTime, or in person. And I picked that man up higher than I've ever picked anyone up in my life.
Yeah. I mean, I was with my son, who's probably can you imagine, a bigger Braves fan than I am. And we were at the parade together, and I was just weeping. I was just like, son, you have no idea. This is incredible. It's just an incredible feeling. We got to do that again. It's awesome.
People that are younger than me, they look at the Georgia Bulldogs and they look at the Atlanta Braves and thinking, dude, these are the teams. And it was like, I was around in the 90s and, in the late 80s when they weren't good. And Georgia Bulldogs, we were never – but you look at the kids now, they look at this Georgia Bulldogs and say, man.
You kind of expect it.
Yeah, we only won 11 games. What's wrong? Call me 10 years ago, you'll be like, please, Lord, let us win 11 games.
Yeah, that's right.
But guys, it's fun. I want to thank John Bateman. That was
cool. That was really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, that's what. I'm glad he was able to do.
Good insight there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to him at the gas station in the morning. I'm sure I'll see him
when you're getting your coffee and your gas.
That's right. I get Dr. Pepper. I don't do coffee. I'm more.
All right.
Yeah, all right. But yeah, John, we really appreciate you doing that. I want to thank James for joining us, talking Braves as always.
Thank you, James, as always.
Here in the comment section, we appreciate it. We don't know what our schedule will be next week because Georgia could be playing for an NIT championship. So if they're playing at 7:00, we probably won't hop on here because nobody's going to care what we're saying.
I could do Andy. I'd be up for a post game. We could do that. We'll see how it goes.
9:30. Can you stay up that late?
Well, I mean, yeah. And for that, I could say that's okay. I'm not doing the 9:30 to midnight. I'm not doing that. So.
No, that's terrible. But yeah, guys, we appreciate it. For James Caraway and Eddie from Ackworth, I'm Andy Stowe. We'll see you next time. Go Dogs. Go Braves. That's right.
Yes, sir. Thanks, James.